Good evening, everyone. It is Wednesday night. You know what that means. It is time for your AEW Dynamite January 26th review. This was a very special episode of Dynamite because tonight in the city of Cleveland, Ohio, was Beach Break. And tonight, I thought for the most part, this was a pretty good episode of AEW Dynamite. First off, man, first things first, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Technically, we're on the road to 600 subs, but we're about 5 subs away from 560. So if we can get 560, that would be much appreciated as well. But the main caveat is to get to 600. But let's not waste any time. Let's get into it, man, because what a way to kick things off, man, with the undisputed TNT Championship ladder match. Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, man, these two men went at it. I think what many people can agree with was one of the best spots of this match was the Sammy Guevara cutter off the ladder. You know, speaking of the ladder, Cody hitting the crossroads off the ladder, like those two spots were, in my opinion, probably one of the best spots of, the match. But in the end, Sammy Guevara climbs the ladder. Sammy Guevara wins. Sammy Guevara is the winner and the new Unified TNT Champion. And you know what? Congrats to Sammy. But this makes no sense in my opinion. It really doesn't. And maybe someone in the comment section can explain to me how this does make sense, how the story relates to this. But I don't get it because Cody wins the title on Christmas. Literally, he held the title for over a month. And then, boom, he loses it right back to Sammy. He wins the title against Sammy, then he loses it against Sammy. Like that really doesn't make any sense. Like, why put the title on Cody only for y'all to put the title back on Sammy a month later? Like that, in my opinion, that just doesn't make any sense. But hopefully, someone can just maybe in the comment section explain to me how that does make sense. But for the most part, for me, that doesn't really make sense to me. Wardlow defeats Elijah Dean and James Alexander in what was a squash match. So Wardlow still getting some wins despite him and MJF, with their little story going on. Speaking of story, we got a 6-man tag team match. Playa, we had Chris Jericho, Santana and Ortiz taking on 2.0 and Daniel Garcia. I think the main caveat, and many people can agree with me when I say this, but obviously the main caveat of this match was the miscommunication and the infighting that's been going on with Chris Jericho, and not just Chris Jericho and Santana and Ortiz, but pretty much of all of Inner Circle. Inner Circle, with the obsession of Sammy, have all been infighting, like going their own routes and stuff like that. But yeah, so Santana and Ortiz pretty much for this whole match did not tag in Chris Jericho, but Chris does help them, hit the 2.0, well, the Judas effect, on Lee. And, of course, Santana hits the pile driver, and that lets them get the win. This is a pretty average, decent, I must say, 6-man tag. But the main caveat was Chris Jericho, Santana, Ortiz. And obviously, Chris is, not really happy that he didn't get tagged at all. So they're continuing that. Really curious to see how they're going to end things off with that. But we get Lance Archer backstage. He wants to fight Hangman in a Texas death match, and Hangman Page is like, you want a Texas death match? You got it. In 2 weeks' time, you and me, Texas death match for the AEW World Championship. And rightfully so. That should be a good one for the AEW World Championship. Texas death match. Last time, of course, we saw what happened in Texas death match with Lance Archer winning the, New Japan US title, IWGP US title. So, gonna be really interesting to see how that goes. We had CM Punk coming out, and he's coming out to the ring, dressing the crowd before he goes to Chicago next week, his hometown. And he's all like, folks, I'm here to fight, and y'all know why I'm here. I'm not here to talk. I've done a lot of talking, but I'm here to fight. MJF, you and me, let's do this right now. And MJF is like, fans, I just don't know how you still cheer for this guy. I mean, Punk no shows an appearance in Cleveland 2014, and right after I'm done with him, he's going to leave again. But you folks with the match, fine. You want the match, Punk? You went through FTR. You went through Shawn Spears. You went through Wardlow. You want me? Well, you got me. But you're not going to get me in this dumpster town known as Cleveland, Ohio. No, you're going to give me next week, Punk. For the first time ever, MJF versus CM Punk next week in Chicago. And it's official. CM Punk and MJF will be fighting in Chicago. And to be honest with you, I can see why they did this. I even said, back in my Q&A, I can see Punk and MJF happening at Revolution. But then again, Revolution is what, in February or something? So they got to, keep dragging on the feud even more. And you don't want to do that, You got to make the feud look really good. You don't want to drag it to the point where fans are like, oh, my God, just get to the match. So I can kind of see why they're doing this in Chicago. Also, MJF's like, we may not have to fight tonight, but there's nothing wrong with showing the whole world a little preview. So who comes out the Pinnacle? They come out and they attack CM Punk, and MJF is like, it's funny because the same place, Punk, that your journey started, it's going to end in Chicago. So really, really nice way for MJF to get heat, and I thought that was a really good segue heading into their match next week. It should be a great one. Anyways, we got Layla Hirsch taking on Red Velvet. Layla Hirsch obviously being the heel in this factor, man. And like I stated in the predictions, Layla Hirsch gets the win. She rolls Velvet up in what was a solid match, but Layla Hirsch gets the win there. She attacks Red Velvet after the match. And, of course, Chris Statlander coming out. So, yeah. All right. After all that, man, we got Britt Baker coming out. And I'm watching this, and I'm like, okay, this is going to lead to some going to go down. Someone going to come out and attack Britt. But no, it was just Britt cutting the promo, getting some heat with the, Steelers and the, Browns, the NFL playoffs, which have been pretty crazy. The NFL playoffs, especially what happened this past weekend in the divisional round. But back to the wrestling subject. I mean, this was really just Britt talking about she carried the women's division. Your typical Britt Baker. I'm the best, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. So I'm thinking it's going to set up something, man. But, yeah, I guess not. Maybe they'll do it next week. Who knows? But, yeah. Then we got the AEW main event tonight, the AEW Lights Out match between Adam Cole and Orange Cassidy. Man, what a match this was. I thought this was a really good match, man. And, those two men went out there and just proved to the world that they can't stand each other. And they went out there tonight, and it showed. And tonight, man, like I said, with AEW Dynamite, I thought it was a pretty good show. And, there's really no problems that I really had with this show tonight. If I'm being quite honest with you, maybe you could have, not really did the Britt Baker segment, if I'm being quite honest with you, because could have had a little bit more time for the main event. But that's a small little nitpick. I just feel like they really should have cut that out. But anyways, for the most part, like I said, it's pretty good Dynamite. It wasn't a bad episode whatsoever. So, yeah, that has been my AEW Dynamite review. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing my appreciation vids again, so be on the lookout for that. I am going to do a Friday Night SmackDown review, and then Saturday is the Royal Rumble. Yes, the Royal Rumble. So make sure, again, you subscribe to the channel, like, comment. This has been the Kid DC Wrestling, and so, yeah.